Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear brothers and my dear sisters, welcome to Nasiha Sessions. Now, brothers and sisters, I got a couple questions for our brother Dawah, man. I know you lot had some questions as well. So, bro, let's get straight into it. You released a video recently, and the video was titled, "Can Men Watch Hijabi YouTubers?" So I have a question for you. Can women watch Dawah, man? Because it's a bit hypocritical, don't you think, to say, women can't be watched by men, but then you have sisters watching you. And if I'm correct, which, I probably am, you have more of a following which is female-based. I don't know, maybe you know better than I do. I know most definitely I have a more huge female audience, and obviously you're Dawah, man. But yeah, what would you have to say to that? Like, can women watch you on YouTube?
Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Few clarifications. Firstly, I don't want it to sound like, I'm encouraging anyone to watch me, whether it be a sister or a brother. There's people far better than myself to watch. There's ulama that you can benefit from.
Most definitely.
And, students of knowledge who are mutamakkin. People like, Ustad Abdul Rahman, who's our Sheikh, Mufti Muhammad Munir, Hadith disciple, Ustad Tim Humble, Muhammad Tim Humble. Many other people that you can benefit from. So, I don't want it to make it sound like I'm just answering this on behalf of so you can watch me.
Yeah.
Second thing is, I don't know if my audience is more females.
Okay.
You said yours is, that's because you're a sweet brother. You know what I'm saying? He's sweet enough to give someone diabetes. But someone like me, I'm not sweet like that. I'm a bit rough and around the edges. So I don't know. I don't think it's the same for me. But a very good question. I can see how some might interpret that as hypocrisy and double standards and lack of consistency. Okay, you're telling brothers you can't watch hijab YouTubers, but then why are you not speaking out against sisters who might watch you and you happen to be a guy? Well, brothers and sisters, if you ponder with me, you'll see the difference. Okay, if a guy watches a hijabi YouTuber, what need is there? What need is there for him to watch her? There's no need, right? When we were told to lower our gaze, what was the reason we were told to lower our gaze? To protect our private parts, right? And we know that by a man looking at a woman, a man can get aroused and turned on contact. You see what I'm saying? On visual contact. So he's looking at a sister who's, whether she's wearing hijab or not, he's got to lower his gaze from looking at her face.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look at her face, because her face is Allah's placed beauty in it. And the Prophet ﷺ told us the whole of the woman is awrah. Do you see what I'm saying? The entirety of the woman is awrah. She is not to be seen. Do you see what I'm saying? The same with her private parts, the same with her faces. It cannot be seen. You can't be looking at her face like that. Do you see where I'm coming from? Number two, that these hijabi YouTubers, the whole point of it is what is hijabi fashion, which is wrong. It's got its problems. The hijab is not supposed to be fashionable as it is anyway, because the whole point of hijab is to, because fashion is beauty, and you're not supposed to expose your beauty. That's the whole point of hijab. But put that discussion to the side for another day. The point is, brothers, you're watching sisters who are always talking about fashion and beauty. Like, they got videos like sexy hijabi tutorial going around. I don't watch this stuff. It's based just by virtue of being with the youngers and what you come to hear these things. The turban hijab style, when they show the neck and whatnot, they got these hijab styles I'm hearing now where they show you take parts of your hair out of your hijab. They call it like the haram or something, the haram element. That's what I heard. Wow. They're like, you got to have the little bit of haram in you. So, they take 1-2 strands of hair out of the hijab. That's what I heard. They did a little thing here. I don't know what it is.
This point.
The point, right? The peak. Yeah. I'm saying that's got its own issues in the sense where I'm not discussing that today. The issue of modesty and what is hijab and does that meet conditions of hijab. That's not what I'm talking about. The point I'm talking about is that a fitna for a man? Yes, it is. Is it a man, watching what he shouldn't be watching? Yeah, it is. Now that's very different to a sister who's watching a guy who's educating her. This is education taking place. She's learning about her religion, that which she might not be able to learn from. Maybe there's not a sister to teach her that. So she can get this from this YouTube channel. It happens to be a male who's teaching her, who's educating. That's very different now. Do you see? So when you think of it like that, you're like, you can't even compare the two situations. So as you can see, these are two different scenarios. Two totally different scenarios. One is a guy who's watching a girl. There's no need. One is there's a need. There's an actual need. She doesn't know how to pray. She doesn't know her religion. She's got to learn her religion somewhere, right? And she's going and she happened to be watching it from a guy.
Okay. So now, bro, you mentioned, how, okay, the girl can watch the guy can't watch the girl, whatnot. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly said in the ayah of when He told the men to lower their gaze, He also told the woman to lower her gaze. The man and the woman should be lowering their gaze. How do you now reconcile between it? Like, what do you have to say towards that? The ayah is clear. The man has to lower his gaze to protect his private parts, and the woman has to lower her gaze. So, what do you have to say to that?
Okay, so very good question. What you have to understand is, Allahumma barik, that, the lowering of the gaze for the man and the lowering of the gaze for the woman is not exactly the same. The reason for that is it's more intense. Look, the default position is they both have to lower their gaze.
No.
They both have to lower their gaze. But it's even more staunch on the man. Why? Because a man can get aroused from a woman just by looking at her. Whereas generally speaking for women, they can't get aroused based on just purely looking. Women need a lot more other factors in order for them to be aroused or for their desire to be aroused. For example, there's, the touch, there's the smell or whatever have you. If a guy is looking at a girl who might be stinking, but if she's dressed provocatively, he's going to get turned on. But a sister will not have the same effect on her if she's looking at a guy who smells. Because there's a lot of factors at play. Not to say that there aren't some sisters who can, purely just based on visual, but generally speaking, it's not women who, by the way, that's not my knee, okay? A lot of guys mistake. This is my thing that I wear underneath my thobe. It's the same color as my skin sometimes. It's actually not the same color as my skin. It was the lighting in that video. Yeah. But it's always covered, alhamdulillah. What am I saying?
So it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. Do you see what I'm saying? Like for a woman, she's not gonna get aroused the same way a guy's gonna get aroused looking. So the point is both of them generally, both have to lower their gaze. That's Allah told you you have to lower your gaze. For the man to lift up his eye, like that's like basically
Game over.
Huh?
Game over.
It's game over, right? And he can only lift up his eye when there's a legislation or excuse. For example, if he wants to marry the girl, are you allowed to look at a girl before marriage? Yes, you're not. You say you've got a legislation or excuse. What about you're a doctor as a necessity?
No.
Okay, the girl, she's calm, you're a doctor, you've got to look at her now. But then again, you can only look at the part of the body that's needed. You can't look at her whole body. Do you know what I'm saying? So, for the man, he needs to have a legislation or excuse. Okay? It's got to be a big need for him to be able to look. Do you see what I'm saying? Same for a woman, there's got to be a need. There has to be a need if she's going to, look at a guy. But it's not as strict on her as it is for the man. And if you look at all the general evidences, you find that generally speaking, that this is the way to understand it. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told a woman what He said, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَ تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى. Stay in your houses. The default position is that the woman is not seen, she's in her house. She only comes out when there's a need. For example, she's got to go Umrah, Hajj, if she wants to go seek knowledge, whether it be religious or secular, provided she's in the correct environment. She wants to go work, provided she's in the correct environment. She needs to go to the marketplace. There's a need for her to come out. But generally speaking, she's got to stay in the house. It's not praiseworthy for a woman to be out on the streets. But it's praiseworthy for her to be, she's always in the house. She's like, she's that's a praiseworthy characteristic. But for a man, it's different. If a man's always in his house, he's what? He's a bum. He's not earning. The man, the default position is that he is outside, he is seen. Do you see what I'm saying? Generally speaking, the woman is not supposed to be seen. The man is generally speaking seen. If the woman and man happen to come into contact with each other, they should lower their gaze. Do you see what I'm saying? But more so for the man, because she wasn't supposed to be seen in the first place. The guy was already in the public. So for him, it's a bit different. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And also from the fact that the Prophet ﷺ, he said the biggest fitna that's left behind is what? Is the woman for the man. It's not the same for the woman. The man is not the biggest fitna for the woman. Rather, there are other fitan for the woman that are greater than the man. For example, the dunya. Because in another hadith, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, fear the women and fear the dunya. And the scholars, not me, the scholars, when he explains the hadith, they say, the dunya, when the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, fear the dunya, he was talking to the women. And when he was saying, fear the women, he was talking to the men. Because a woman would be more likely to fall into zina with a man if she knew this guy was going to provide for her a nice car, a nice house. For her, it's like, the dunya means more to her than the guy. The guy is a means to the dunya. That's why gold digging is common amongst women, not men. Even though there are men who do it, but generally speaking, it's more common amongst women. I'm not saying all sisters are gold diggers. Please do not misunderstand my statement, because I know you're there. I know you're there. My feminist sister. Okay? Firstly, let go of feminism as it is anyway. But please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that. Please do not misunderstand me. I'm saying it is a fitna that some sisters are inclined to, and those some sisters are more likely inclined to it than men. And not saying, and the man will also fall into zina with a woman, right? And he will go get the dunya, he'll work hard, go to the gym, buy a nice car, he'll do all these things. Why? Because he knows the only way I'm going to be able to do zina with the girl is if I give her the dunya, you see. So the woman, she's got to, be careful. And for her, more of a fitna is the dunya than the man. And for the man, the more of a fitna is the woman, you see. So what that's all showing you is that, what is more likely to be, to result in direct arousal? The woman looking at the man or the man looking at the woman? The man. That's why for a man to look at a woman, it's like basically under no circumstance, unless there's a legislation or excuse, as we previously mentioned. But for the woman, if there's a need that arises, for example, to be taught, okay, then that can be an excuse for her to look. There's a teacher, I need to study, learn, whatever. These videos are the only way, and then it can be done. But then one might ask, but then what if there's a man who needs to learn from a woman? What if a man needs to learn from a woman? Now here we implement a qaida from our religion, which is that pushing away harm takes precedence over bringing good. So you're saying, I want to look at a girl, I want to look at a sister to learn. I need to learn this, and she's teaching me online, and I'm going to look at her face and whatnot. So we're going to say, okay, good. So you want to do good. There's a harm, which means you're going to have to look. But then there's also a good, which means you're going to learn. So what should you give precedence to? If there is an evil and a harm that are headbutting each other, and they're both equal, which one should you select? The one that you select is that you push away the harm instead of bringing the good. You push away the harm instead of bringing the good. And evidence for this is like the Prophet ﷺ. What did he say? He said, when you clean your nose, when you do wudu, you don't take the water. You take the water as high as you can. You take the water as high as you can, except for when you're fasting. Because if you take it too high when you're fasting, what's going to happen? It's going to go into the passage of your throat, and it's going to go into your stomach, and it could break your fast. Now you have to understand this. There's something's going on here. There's a harm, which is your fast might break. And there is a good, which is you're going to follow a sunnah, which is to bring the water high as you can, right? But question, which one did the Prophet give precedence to? Pushing away the harm. No. You want to do good. You want to bring... But what is more important and what is more dangerous is to not push away the harm than to not bring the good. Do you see? So we're saying now for the guy, when he's looking at a sister who might be teaching and he's got a need, there is a need, he needs to learn. And then there is a fitna, a fasad, that he might look at her and it might cause him to do sin. You know what I'm saying? By looking at her, right? He might get aroused or whatever have you. The question is, which one should he choose? For him, the harm, always, what is the harm? What is the greater harm? Okay. For him, the greater harm, because he's a man, is to look at a girl. Push it away, bro. Go find a man to study under. But for sisters, it's different. For the sister, because she's less likely to get turned on by a guy just by looking at him. Because she's less likely to get turned on by a guy just by looking at him, for her, the harm is not as great as a man. So for her now to not learn could be greater. For her to now not learn could be greater than not watching the video. Do you see?
Yeah.
Have you understood that?
Yeah,
Do you think they understood it? Did I explain it good?
Yeah, it was nice.
Are you sure?
Yeah, most
Because
definitely.
this is qawaid al-fiqhiyya. I don't want to...
Yeah, it's most definitely nice.
Yeah?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, good. But then here's a question. What if a girl is looking at a guy, but she starts to actually feel that she's getting desires?
Okay.
Like a brother read me a comment the other day, a sister, she left on one guy's post. She said, I don't know how you managed to make me think about the deen and turn me on at the exact same time.
Subhanallah.
Sister, now, you see, for now, the harm became greater for you now.
Yeah.
You're looking at a guy, and the reason you were told to not look at him was for the desires. Generally speaking, when sisters look at guys, the desires don't pop off straight away. But if you happen to be from those who now your desires are starting to pop off, now remember, generally speaking, you weren't supposed to be looking at the guy anyway.
Yeah.
There was a need you went to learn, but you went to learn and you're like, A'udhu billah, I'm starting to catch feelings.
Yeah.
I'm starting to look. I'm starting to have inappropriate thoughts. I'm starting to think, mashallah, he looks good. Let me look at his body. Let me look at his face. I'm starting to... you can sense desires from the beginning. No, don't watch no more. You can maybe minimize the screen and listen to the audio. Just listen to the audio. Whatever. But now there's a danger for you now. So now for you, it became greater to push away the harm. And the harm here is now that you might fall into a sin by looking at him.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm coming from? So I hope that makes sense. For the men, it's like, generally speaking, I don't want sisters to be like, oh, okay, it's easy for me. I can go around looking at men. No, generally speaking, you're not looking anyway.
Yeah.
When a need comes, you can look. When a need, I'm emphasizing, when a need, when a reason, when a need, a legislational need, not a need that you think, oh, there's a need for me, I need him to help me, feed my cats. No, a need that the Sharia legislates. For example, knowledge, you want to seek knowledge comes, then sisters, for you can seek that need. But you can only seek that need if going after that need, going after that good, will not result in a greater harm. And always push the harm away before the need. So right now, sister, ignorance for you is a greater harm. So the need of looking at him, not necessarily him, but looking at his videos is justifiable. But for the man, for you, is always going to be a great harm for you to look at the girl. Okay? So it's different for you. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes, most definitely. Okay, so then I had a question.
Yeah.
What about now if it's a man who the woman has any desires towards, the guy's just doing maybe comedy online? Can she watch him?
Okay, barakallah feek for that question, Strides, because this is exactly the point I don't want the sisters to misunderstand.
Mm-hmm.
We're not saying that sisters can be looking around at men. No. You've got to lower your gaze. Allah commanded the men and the women.
Okay.
We're saying you were able to lift your eyes. Why?
Oh, for the need.
For the need.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? For the legislational need. Shar'i, religious need. Okay? Can a man lift his eye for a legislational need?
Most definitely, yes.
Which is what? He wants to get married. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that, a man can look at a woman. Why? Because the harm of not looking at her is now greater. Because you might marry her, be so unattractive, you divorce her on the first night.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see? So now it becomes like that. What about if you're a doctor? Can she come to you?
Yeah.
No, because she might die.
Mm-hmm.
So the need now of the harm, of not treating her is greater than the harm of leaving her. So remember, you got to push away the harm. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So the point is, generally speaking, you're not supposed to be looking. There's a need you can. Now my question is, when you're watching a YouTuber, what's the need? Like, what need is there in you watching this YouTuber?
Sorry.
Like you're watching these pranksters. There's no need. And on top of these guys walking around in their boxes, they go shopping with their boxes, take pictures with their boxes, take provocative pictures. These are the kind of guys that turn, sisters on, a'udhu billah. You might even have a guy who's like, maybe just doing like things like, he's like, some sisters watch brothers who are not pranksters, who are not like necessarily vloggers, but they're not teachers. They might be Muslim and they just watch them. Like for example, maybe someone might just do like, for example, like a reaction video on a show or something, or reaction. I'm like, this is not knowledge. This is not knowledge.
Knowledge, sahih.
The need was knowledge. So why are you looking at him?
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is what is this? Is comedy? This is entertainment.
Yeah.
It might not be comedy, but this is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching this reaction video. Like, what are you learning? What did you learn? Any fiqh? Did you learn any aqidah? The religion is what? Fiqh and aqidah, right?
Yeah.
That's knowledge.
Yeah.
It's three things really. The scholars say aqidah, fiqh, and akhlaq, manners. So do you learn any aqidah watching reaction videos? Do you learn any fiqh? Do you learn any akhlaq? So, but don't come out and be like, okay, well, I learned, like one matter of fiqh. We're saying, generally speaking, is this a video? Because, like I said, you might watch a prankster and like, for example, And there was a guy who used to do these funny videos, and at the end he'll just mention something about good manners, like, you know, be good to your parents. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's a guy who'd make these funny videos with music and at the end he'll just send a nice Islamic message. But he is a prankster. He is an entertainer. Or you might not even be a prankster. You might even, some people will even tell you, look, I give da'wah. But he's not. It's not knowledge. He's not teaching you aqid. He's not teaching you fiqh. He's not teaching you manners. So, okay, now he's not really a person who's of knowledge. You know, you shouldn't be listening to someone who's not knowledgeable as it is anywhere in the deen, or not seeking knowledge. But now because he's a man, it's even worse for you, my sister. You shouldn't be watching him.
Okay.
Let alone watching a prankster and all that.
Okay, so I think it's a really important thing that you emphasized actually on the issue of there has to be a need.
Yeah, there's a need, of course.
Exactly, because some sisters might get confused and just start looking around everywhere like, oh, I can
you
look.
drink alcohol?
If there's a need.
Alcohol is necessity.
Yeah.
It's greater than a need, which we'll discuss another day. There's haja, which is a need.
Need.
Then there's darura.
Darura, necessity.
I'll just explain that, because probably I've opened the door now.
Okay.
So let me just quickly explain it. So basically, haram is of two types.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's haram bidatihi. Haram, there's haram in and within itself. And there's haram because this thing will lead to haram. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Yeah, is zina haram?
Yes.
In and within itself.
Yes.
Looking at a woman, is that haram?
Yes.
But is it haram in and within itself?
No.
Because you can look at your mum and your sister, you can look at your wife, right?
Yes.
But at what point does it become haram? Because it might lead to zina.
When it's not looking at the
Right, exactly. Look, if I look at my mum or you look at your family members, you're not going to commit zina with them. So the harm of the zina occurring is not a real harm.
Yeah.
So you can look at your mum.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But when you're outside, any one of those women, you can commit zina with her.
No.
So that's why all of them, you can't look at them.
Okay.
You see? So haram is of two. There's haram in and within itself. Zina is not acceptable under any circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now here, it becomes permissible so zina is not acceptable under any circumstance. Zina doesn't become permissible. It's not acceptable under any circumstance because it's haram in and within itself. And something else, like looking at a woman, it's not haram in and within itself, but it's haram because it was made haram because it's going to lead to zina. So now you're not allowed to do that as well. Because Sharia wants to cut things off from the roots. You see?
Yeah.
So if there is something that's haram in and within itself, and you want to do, for example, alcohol is haram in and within itself.
Yeah.
But now you want to do the alcohol, there has to be a necessity, a darura.
Mm-hmm.
A darura means that this is going to harm your life. You might die.
Yeah.
It needs to be right up there, bro. You might die. Like you're in a desert, you're thirsty, you might die. Then you take it.
Mm-hmm.
You drink the alcohol. You only take a sip and you put it back. You can't take the whole bottle. You can't carry. You just take enough and you keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go overboard with the necessity. You see what I'm saying? So if there is a haram that's haram in and within itself, in order for that haram to become halal, you need to have reached the level of darura, necessity. But if there is a haram that's not haram in and within itself, for example, looking at a woman, a man looking at a woman or a woman looking at a man, then that doesn't have to reach the level of necessity. It just has to reach need.
Okay, good.
Need. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you learning from, for example, a guy on YouTube, is that necessity?
No.
Are you gonna die?
No.
No, because you can. I'm sure there's other alternatives. But is there a need? Is there a high need? Like yes. Ramadan's coming. Learn fiqh of Ramadan. Is there a need?
Yeah.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? So that's a different story.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? But now, with that said, there are some harams that even if there's a necessity, you can never do it. For example, a haram that will involve someone else.
Okay.
For example, can I put a gun to your head and say and say I'm gonna if I don't kill you, so if you don't say a word of shirk, I'm gonna kill you. Are you allowed to say a word of shirk?
Yeah.
As long as you believe in your heart,
and
what you say is not really gonna change what's in your heart, because this is a necessity now. Karaha, right? Yeah. This is necessity. You're under duress. I'm gonna shoot you if you don't. Of course, I'm not gonna shoot anyone in case anyone wants to chop up that clip. Don't. I'm not gonna shoot. I'm just saying. Let's just say someone wants to shoot you. He says to say a kalima of kufr. Does it become permissible for you to say that now?
Yeah.
Because it's life and death. You see what I'm saying? But now what if someone puts a gun to your head and say, kill this person.
Yeah, you can't do
You
that.
can't do that.
Mhm.
Because who made his life more important than yours?
Mhm.
Who said that his life is more important than yours?
Yeah.
So if the haram that you want to do as a necessity involves another person, then you're not allowed. Same way, can I put a gun to your head? Not me, I'm stop using that example. If someone puts a gun to your head and says, do zina with this guy, are you allowed to? Never. Why? Because it involves, you're going to now take her honor away.
Oh no, yes.
You're going to take her honor away by fornicating with her.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond you to
Beyond.
someone else.
Okay.
But now say if someone says to you, you're in a desert, you're going to die if you don't drink alcohol, are you allowed to?
Yeah.
Because that's not going to affect anyone else but you.
Mhm.
So it's a very big discussion, what's
Yeah.
necessity, what's not. And sadly, people are playing around with this nowadays.
Yeah.
People are playing around with this, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like some people are like, people when they try to justify selling alcohol, right? I'm saying, is it a necessity? Are you going to die if you don't sell this alcohol?
No.
No.
Mm.
It's a need. Maybe you might say, I need this job. But you're not going to say, my family's going to starve to death. No, because the government's going to give you money. You're going to get job seekers allowance to pay for your food. You're not going to die if you don't sell alcohol. Do you see what I'm saying? So what you have, if you're saying, I need this job, you're not saying I've got a necessity. You're saying I've got a need. A need is not enough to sell alcohol, because alcohol is what? Haram in it within itself. But a need to look at a guy to teach you, you can do that, because that's not haram in and of itself. You see, Akhi, that's what I'm telling you. People out there, they think these people are knowledgeable. Akhi, wallahi, it's a joke. This is what is making me upset now on it. Like this is, we learned this stuff when, Akhi? Basic qawaid al-fiqhiyah. Sheikh Abdurrahman Nasir Sa'di's qawaid al-fiqhiyah, right? We memorized the poetry. You see what I'm saying? What is it? وليس واجب بالاقتدار ولا محرم مع الضرار. Was it? I know the poem. وليس واجب بالاقتدار ولا محرم مع الضرار وكل محظور مع الضرورة بقدر ما تحتاجه الضرورة. This is what we just talked about. The Sheikh summarized it in these poetries. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a 49-line poetry. This is the first thing you learn when you study this topic. And now you got people who are like, I'm a Sheikh, and
they bring nothing.
And I'm like, either you don't know this stuff,
you're just lying to the people,
or you're lying.
Sorry.
And if you don't know it, that's bad. And if you're lying, it's
That's
worse. But this is basic. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. This is basic. I understand you might be thinking, it might be wallahi, I'm telling you, there's not a book in Qawaid al-Fiqhiyah to study this before Sheikh Abdurrahman Nasir Sa'di's book. And we learn it in there. I'm saying there's not a book that's more beginner than that. At least not that we know. That's the basic. I'm saying they should know this stuff.
It's true.
You know what it is? It's people just, they want to please the people. They know this guy's going to like me, he's going to come to my events, he's going to pay me money, he's going to pay my shows. If I pass fatwa, that's going to be easy for him.
No.
We're off, man. The whole point was, sisters, if there's a need, you can watch a guy. If he's teaching you, that's a need. You can watch his videos. But if the shahwa starts to pop, look down. But that doesn't mean you can be looking at guys anyway. You should have always been knowing your gaze. If a need arises, you could look up. The guys, there's no need. And remember, even if you do happen to say there's a need, the pushing away of the harm takes precedence over bringing the good, which is the need. So you have to look at what is going to be the greater harm. For you to look at her as a greater harm, push that away first.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But for the sister, it might not necessarily be the greater harm to benefit from this brother's videos. Why? Because for her it's not the same as the man. For her it might be a greater harm to remain ignorant, because her desires are not going to be activated as quickly as the man. But the moment she finds that desires are activated, she flips it, she switches it.
Okay. Jameel, Allahumma barak. I think the last kind of talk that you went on, subhanAllah, that was actually, I benefited from that, alhamdulillah. So yeah,
but can I just say, that's what I'm saying, this is, right, I'm saying, man. There are people out there who will actually use this as an argument. Like, what do you mean? Like, how are we even talking about these things? Sometimes I'm like, bruv, this is, like, some people are probably thinking, like, look at this guy, he's so arrogant, he thinks he knows. Like, wallahi, bruv, this is, I promise you I'm not being arrogant. I don't even consider myself a student of knowledge. You know, there's a talib al-ilm. Then there's Tulayb. Tulayb is a small baby student of knowledge. I don't even consider myself that. Wallahi, I don't. I promise you, I'm not being arrogant. Because to be arrogant would mean I feel like I know. I'm telling you, I don't. I genuinely don't mean this in a false sense of humility. I'm telling you, I don't. But there are some things that I do know, the basics that I'm learning. At the very least, I can tell you this is basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People are out there telling you university alone is necessity. A'udhu billah. People are out there telling you what? You can watch YouTubers. A'udhu billah. People are out there telling you boys and girls can sit next to each other on a show. It's necessity. A'udhu billah. People are telling you can say, A'udhu billah. No, there's so much fiqh, there's so much qawa'id, there's so much usul and principles you're playing around with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And the same with the issue of the voting, because inshallah we're going to discuss this on the next Child My Bite, right?
Inshallah.
People tell you lesser of two evils. Woo, you've not understood. This is a very intricate framework of qawaid and usul that you're just breaking. Because you know if you fancy terms, you're going to mess with the people's minds like that.
Yes,
so the only way for you guys to, overcome this is for you to study.
Most definitely.
I was sick and tired of but this sheikh says this. Like, you know what the scholars say? A person who doesn't study usul al-fiqh and qawa'id al-fiqh, these kind of subjects, is like a dead corpse who's the people are doing ghusl to the dead corpse. Because can I control? My body's dead and you're washing my dead body. Can I control which way you move my hand? No, I'm a victim to the way I'm at your mercy. You move my hand here, you can cross my legs, you can open my mouth, you can do this to my lips if I'm dead. Obviously, it would not be nice to do that, but I'm saying you could do that. I'm at your mercy. They say a person who doesn't know this subject that we're talking about, qawaid al-fiqhiyya and usul al-fiqh, is like a dead corpse. Because you're at the mercy of the guy talking to you. He tells you, so alcohol is permissible. This guy says no. But only when you learn these principles and the rules, necessity, this is different to a need. There's a difference. And I didn't even go into necessity. Wallahi, we didn't even go into it, even on a basic level. What are the conditions of necessity? What's the difference between necessity and a need? What are the conditions of a need? What are the conditions for when a need becomes halal? We didn't even discuss this. There's so much.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? Until you know this stuff yourself, you're going to struggle. You're going to be at the behest of whoever is teaching you. Inshallah ta'ala, like I said, in Muslim Survival Guide, this is stuff we're going to be going through, inshallah ta'ala, very soon. Very, 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 very soon. Because I wanted to put this stuff out there for you guys. Like right now we have the Ramadan course that we're doing, inshallah ta'ala. And you guys can access it absolutely free. As a gift, we made it free for the month of Ramadan for you guys. And you're going to go through some tafsir, Surah Al-Fatiha, and tafsir the last 15 surahs of the Quran. Plus, fast and furious, you're going to learn about Ramadan. So if you guys want to benefit, go to the link below, inshallah ta'ala. Like I said, just leave your email and then we'll send you details of how to access it. But whether you do it and you come to Muslim Survival Guide and we benefit from each other here, or you go and you study under a Salafi teacher who teaches you Kitab and Sunnah bifahmi Salaf al-Ummah, according to the understanding of the Sahaba and the Salaf al-Ummah, then go to that person. You don't have to come to me. Like I told you, there's people better than me, go. But if you don't have anyone, like I said, we're here, we're at your service. But don't go to know people who have got some dodgy aqeedah and dodgy manhaj. A sign of a dodgy aqeedah is these dodgy fatwas. It's a sign of desires,
Consistency as well.
Yeah. Do you have a little advice for them, Ak?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the point he mentioned about actually understanding, principles. Before I used to always ask, Ustad, can I listen to this guy? Can I listen to that guy? Is this what he's saying correct? And then I remember the first time I actually went over some principles was Manhaj al-Istidlal.
Yeah.
And after that, after I learnt just those principles, we didn't even go into who the guy is. Just listening to a guy, wait, where'd you get that from? Nah, that's not correct.
Yeah.
And just learning the principles, wallahi, it's like the principles lay the foundation for you to be able to realize, is this right or is this wrong?
I'll give you an example of one such principle, is that anytime someone says an ayah or hadith, we have to ask, who understood it like that? Which Sahaba? Are you giving your own interpretation? Because if you're going your own interpretation, that's correct. Incorrect. I don't want your interpretation.
Yeah.
Get your interpretation away from me. Who are you? But if you bring me Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, you bring me their interpretation, beautiful. So if you see someone who's giving you a fatwa that seems a bit strange, or we say, who from the Salaf understood that? Because we were told to follow the Salaf, right? Did the Prophet ﷺ not say that the sect is going to be saved? Ma ana alayhi wa ashabi, the one who follows me and my companions.
Yeah.
The one who's upon what I'm upon my companions. So the companions are the Salaf. So if you're giving me a hadith, the first question should come to your mind is, who from the Sahaba understood it like this? If he says no, say goodbye. That's a principle you've got now. Anytime you hear anyone who gives you anything, which Sahabi understood it like this? Who from the Salaf? If he says to you, I don't know, logic, this local sheikh.
Yeah.
Say, bruv, automatically you know I'm not taking this from you.
Yeah.
I'm automatically not taking this from you.
Even before that, when he's saying a statement and he's giving a fatwa, is this from the Quran? Is this from the Sunnah? And then did the Sahaba come with this? If you look at this and the person is just speaking from subhanallah,
Yeah.
I believe, I think, in my personal opinion, you close your ear to that person. You don't give that person your ear.
Because some people have very nice speech.
Yeah,
So how many
yeah.
times I used to sit with someone, he used to give me like, point, this is why you should, do this. But then I'm like, bruv, you didn't mention a single ayah or hadith.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, well, if you look at some people who talk about voting and it's permissible, like, they'll go and they'll mention verses and hadith that are not even relevant to the topic.
Exactly.
But topic of like voting, bruv, did you give me one ayah or hadith? SubhanAllah, you
And
didn't.
all of this comes back down to especially principles. Exactly. So yeah, that was that Nasiha session. SubhanAllah, we covered so many different topics. Alhamdulillah. And dear brothers and sisters, inshallah you benefited. Anything that me and the brother have said which is wrong is from us and the shaitan. Any benefit you could have taken is from Allah alone. And yeah, until the next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.